Hello, and welcome to the Metro MLS webinar reviewing inventory reports in Flex MLS. This webinar will be a review of the types of inventory reports that you have access to. So let's begin. So to access inventory reports in Flex MLS, you click on your menu button, and in the statistics section, click on inventory reports. So this bring you up to the inventory and production reports screen, and there's a list of reports here that you have that you can use. Notice when you hover over each report, you get a description of the report. So for example, broker inventory tracks agent and office listing activity and sales volume. The report provides both listing details and summary statistics, including transaction side, cooperative sales, and volumes. If you'd like to view a sample of the report, just click on the view sample. So it's basically just giving you an overview of what it looks like. So here you'll see it'll list out the list number, the address, city, state, whatever the status is, the price, the begin, the end date, and the current status if it's sold, where it's sold, and any remarks. And then there's a current member stats window, your office stats, that's brokerage stats, and then the MLS board stats, and then you get a percentage difference between the two. So I'm just going to run one just to show you. So I'm just going to hit run this report. Mine might be kind of sparse since I'm in a test account. So you choose your begin and end date range. So I'm just going to start from the beginning of the year. So I'm going to click the calendar icon, but you're more than welcome to click your mouse in the field and type in the numbers. So I'm just going to select January 1st to today's date. Standard report totals is typically what's selected. $1 Million Club will double pop when you're on both the listing and selling sides. If you'd like to filter this report using a quick search, so maybe you only want to look at a particular property type, you can. That's what this option is for. I'm just going to take that out. This report will basically show these two options, so there's really no need to change that. So we'll hit next. So it'll load the report. You get the little indicator here. Once that pops away, it's done loading. So here it's giving me the broker inventory and activity. Don't let the name broker fool you. It's for agents too. All right, so that's the date range, and you've got the $1 Million Club on here, your office, and then that would be your name. So here's the MLS number of the listings, the address, the city, the state, the list price, the begin date of the listing, the end date of the listing, the status. So all of these are sold. If you see A is active, A with a little asterisk next to it means active with offer. P is pending, sold is S. Withdrawn will be W. E will be expired. All right. So you've got that there. There's a sold date if that applies, and then who it was listed by and what it's sold for. All right. So it's going to move on down the screen here. All right, and if you're on the listing side of it, it'll say sold by over here. Next, these would be your current member stats. So the number of current active listings you have with the value would be over here. That would be the list volume. Pending listings, the number of listings under contract, that's your pending with their volume. Number of listings that are listed and sold by you. So if you had one listing that you listed and sold, that would count as two sides and their volume. So the number of sides listed by you but sold by another member of your office. The number of sides that were listed and sold by another office. The number of sides sold but listed by someone else in your office. The number of sides sold and listed by another office. And the number of total sides for you with the volume. And then anything that's off market, like expired or withdrawn, will be here. This will be your brokerage stats. So this will be your office stats here with the volume, the MLS board stats, and then the percentage difference between the two. All right. So that's the broker inventory report. That's a pretty popular report. It's one that we always suggest you guys run towards, run it occasionally, but definitely right after the end of the year to make sure that your inventory is correct, to make sure people are entering in items that you've sold of theirs correctly. So always kind of match this against your own paperwork, your own transaction paperwork, to make sure nothing's missing. If something is missing, contact us and we'll help you get that resolved. All right. So I'm going to click on the menu button and show you the next report. So I'm clicking on menu and going back to statistics inventory reports. The next one is my listings to expire. So this is basically you running a report of your listings which are going to expire. If you look at the sample, it takes you out to the search results screen, really old search results screen. So I'm going to go back to the menu page. So to run that, you will just click here on the link. What listings are you going to have expire in the upcoming? In a 10 is the default, but you can make that 30, you can make it 90, you can make it whatever you want. So basically from today's date going forward, what listings are going to expire, or you can choose a begin and an end date range. Once you hit next, that will take you out to the search results screen to those listings. I don't have any listings in this test account, so it won't come up anything for me. All right, just going to hit my back button here and go back to a report list. Next is the new listing report. So this report details for listings that are new in a particular period of time. So if you click on that, if you wanted to see what was new that you had since the beginning of the year, going to choose that date, or you can just click your mouse in there and type that date in. So you can use the listing date of the listing, or the date the listing was entered into the system. So for example, if you entered in a delayed listing like that, display the listing's end date, and we don't do co-listing, so that won't populate. So when you hit next, it'll bring up a report of those listings. So these were all of the new listings since the beginning of the year that were entered into this account. All right, so it gives you the list number, the address, the status, the begin date, the end date, the current status, the list price, if there's a sold price available, and then the property type. And then you've got a print button up here if you'd like to print it. Okay. Moving on, I'm just going to hit back a couple times to go back to our report list here. Next is the sales activity by property type. So this is the only report in this list of inventory reports that does not apply to just you, the member. It applies to MLS as a whole. All of those other reports are individual to yourself, to your own data. So here, if I wanted to see sales activity by property type for the entire MLS, I can choose my date range that I want to see it for. So again, I'll choose January 1st of this year, and I can make the year to date begin different if I'd like to. I'm just going to leave them both the same. They work better when everything matches up. Click next. So this is the sales activity by property type since January 1st of this year for the MLS. So each property type has its own row here. So here, the total number of sales in the date range, the total number of sales year to date, which we did it for the same date range, the total volume in that date range, the total volume year to date. So if I were to run this for like the month of March, it would be different. Average dollar sales in the range and average dollar sales year to date. So you'll get the year to date number that will always be from January 1st of the current year to that today's date. If you ran a date range maybe for 30 days, if we did all of March, that number would be different from that number. But they're the same since I ran them for the date range the same. All right. Just going to hit back again to get back to our report list. Now here, this agent listing and sales summary report will provide summary statistics and listings and sales by you for your time period that you specify. So if you click on that, that'll bring you here. So if you wanted to see what you ran for a particular month, let's do March. I'll do March of 2000 of this year. It's like March 1st and then March 30th, just to switch it up a little bit. 31st. All right. All right. Again, if you'd like to export this data into a CSV file, you can. And again, if you'd like to filter by a quick search, maybe just to narrow down to a particular property type in a particular area for a particular price, is totally up to you. These are using the quick search templates. Just going to take that out and then hit next. So here's what that report looks like. So this would be your name. This would be your office's name and the phone number. So this is the listing side. So how many units you would have on the listing sides and the volume of those units and your percentage of the MLS business, and then your units on the sales side. So these are your numbers of units that you sold with the sold volume, your percentage of MLS business, and then your total side. So basically that's these two numbers added together with the volume and percentage. And again, if you like to print, there's your print button. All right, and then you get a total row down here. All right, it's going to hit back and go to our last report, which is the production report. This is strictly just your production. It's only going to pull anything that you've sold, okay? Like broker inventory is your entire inventory no matter what. This is just focusing on that closed inventory. So when you click that, it brings you into the production report screen here. You choose the date range that you want to run that production. And you can go back further. I'm just making it easy for myself here. And then you can select the property types that you like included in that production. It's totally up to you. You can choose them all. You can choose any combination. Hit next. So this report, I've selected the date range from the beginning of this year to today's date to show me production. So the first part that's going to pop in here is for your office. So this would be your office's stats. So showing the property types that are here. As the listing member of these property types, what side were they on? Listing or selling, and the volume. The next graph that pops in are the board totals. This would be the MLS. So again, property types, on what side as the listing member or selling member, and the volume for each. The last one, this is your production. This is all you down here. So it shows the list number, the address, the sold date, the property type, and what the volume was for that side that you're on. So as the listing member or the selling member. So here, for example, I wasn't on the listing side, but I was on the selling side. So that's why it's 0 here and a number here. Same thing here. I was listed side, not on the selling side. You will have those double pops that you may see. If you have the same number on both, that means you were on both sides of the transaction. All right. So we're going to move on down the screen here to the bottom. And at the very bottom, you will get your member totals. So that's your listing side totals, your selling side totals, and then the grand total. That's both of those numbers added together. Okay. Again, these are the inventory reports in FlexMLS. How we got to these reports, we clicked on the menu button, and underneath the statistics section, you click on inventory reports, and there's your list. This will conclude our webinar for the inventory reports in FlexMLS.